Well, hello everyone, and welcome to week 36 and 37 of my life as an L3 CTS cadet pilot. Hope you enjoyed the bonus video for last week, but literally not a lot really happened that week. As a matter of fact, the last 2 weeks, these 2 weeks I'm summing up, the weather has been absolutely atrocious. Even for New Zealand standard, this has been pretty bad, but we have managed to get some flights in, so that's good news. So we'll start with rounding up week 36, which is the 5th week in New Zealand for me. And we did 2 lessons in that week, circuits number 2 and circuits number 3. And basically, at the end of circuits 3, you're expected to be ready to go on your solo check ride, and then if that goes well, do your first solo. On both of those lessons, the weather was tough. I mean, even for someone who holds a license, it was tough. I mean, I think on circuits 2 the crosswind was averaging about 12 knots, and on the circuits 3 the crosswind was on the absolute maximum of what we were allowed to fly, and that's 15 knots. And let me tell you, that was hard work, but I landed it. And the good thing about doing crosswind landings is it really makes you work on your crosswind technique. And the advantage of doing that is that when it comes to me doing my solo navigation flights, it means I'll be permitted to go on more flights with higher crosswind limit. I think at the moment my crosswind limit is now 12 knots, and the most we're allowed to take it up to is 15 knots. So the advantage of doing circuits with an instructor and they confirm that you are capable of landing higher crosswinds is an added bonus. So I think that's going to pay dividends later on in the course. Whereas some of the people in my class, they've done all 3 of their circuit sessions and none of them were with a crosswind, so they have a crosswind limit of a big fat nil, which could be an issue if one of their future circuit sessions with an instructor doesn't have a crosswind, then almost all of their navigation flights could potentially be cancelled because of crosswind limitations. So it's very important to do that. But so yeah, overall I felt my landings were very good. Initially I was getting the crosswind technique a little bit wrong, but I was expecting that because it's been a long time since I've done proper crosswind landings. Broke my personal best. I mean, my personal best on my own before coming to CTC was an 11 knot crosswind component, and now I've upped that to a pretty solid 15 knots, so really happy with that. I mean, the aircraft can go up to 20, but no, we don't want to go near the aircraft limit, especially at this stage. So that was week 36. We've now got week 37, and once again just the weather in general was very bad. Several cancelled flights, but I eventually managed to get a booking and the weather lining up perfectly for my solo check ride. And in New Zealand we have 3 types of instructors: Cat A, B and C. It's very likely in your single engine phase you'll be put with a Cat C instructor. Sometimes you'll be with a Cat B if you're lucky. But a Cat C can't authorise you to go solo, so you have to do what's known as, I think it's like a PC1 check ride. It's also known as the first solo check with a B Cat instructor. So that's exactly what I did, but initially she was like, oh, wind's a bit strong. 8 knot crosswind component, that's quite high for a first solo, to which I just turned around and said, have you seen the crosswinds I was landing last week? And then she saw that and she was like, oh, well, it should be a piece of cake, which is encouraging. But yeah, 8 knots of crosswind, it's not too bad, so I can put up with that. But anyhow, went on my first solo check ride, and for that you've got to do 3 landings for that. I ended up doing 4 because I messed the first circuit up. I ended up converging on the runway on the downwind. It wasn't bad, but we did an extra circuit just to be on the safe side. At the end of the day, they want to see 3 good circuits and 3 good landings. As long as you're safe, they'll send you solo. That being said, not everyone will go solo. I'm aware of a couple of people who very recently failed their PC1 check and had to go out with the chief flight instructor here at L3 to be reauthorised for their solo check, and I'm pleased to say that they have done their solo checks now and they have passed. So I suppose we can talk a bit more about the first solo. I mean, for me, it was technically my first solo because I've been on my own before. But for a lot of the people here, this will be their actual first time on their own in an aircraft, and it is completely normal to be very nervous before this flight. But everyone says the same thing. Once you get in the aircraft and there's no instructor in there, as soon as you start running checklists and start going through the procedures, you literally go onto autopilot and the nerves, they just completely go away. It's only when you get back on the ground and you realise what you've just done, you've flown an aircraft on your own without any input from an instructor. It's quite a big achievement. And then I think it was about 2 or 3 days after that flight, I went up again for, wasn't like a solo check, but it was back with my usual instructor, and we did, I think it was 3 circuits. Then he hopped out, and then I did, well, you're supposed to do an hour on your own afterwards, but that day I was playing a bit of a game of cat and mouse with a weather front that was coming in. I mean, there was 2 fronts coming in, and literally as the first one had passed, we then went up, and my instructions were get as many circuits in before the second front arrives, and in the end we did have to cut it 15 minutes short. I mean, I probably would have been alright flying in it because I'll describe the weather as light moderate precipitation, but because it's early days on the course, the chief flight instructors at L3 might get a bit edgy if we start pushing the limits on our early solo flights. So we cut it 15 minutes short, but that was enough for me to get signed off for the flight, so that was no biggie. That time that I lost out on is going to be added onto an extra flight, which I'm not complaining about. As long as I get my time, I don't really mind. But yeah, I mean, that's just a 2-week summary. I mean, 4 flights in 2 weeks, that's quite low. Hence why I've done the 2-week summary instead of the 1-week summary as I normally do. But pleased to say that the week forecast for next week is looking a lot better, so hopefully be able to get more than 2 flights in this time. But on that note, I've been talking for probably about 6 or 7 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up the video there. Before I start rambling on, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to share the video with anyone who you feel might be interested. As always, take it easy, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye.